Smoke rose from the scorched earth, filling the sky with a heavy gray cloud. The battlefield stretched for miles, littered with broken machines. Shattered weapons and fallen soldiers, the air smelled of burning metal and fear. Yet amidst the chaos stood a single human. Alone and unarmed, his eyes were calm, yet sharp, scanning the approaching alien forces. He had no backup, no shield, no chance, but he did not falter. Alien soldiers, towering and armored, moved like a relentless tide. Their weapons glowed with strange energy, capable of tearing through anything in seconds. They stopped for a moment, noticing the human standing his ground. Why does he not run? One whispered to another, curiosity mixed with disbelief. The human lifted a small device from his belt, a gadget barely bigger than his hand, and pressed a button. Suddenly, a blinding light flashed, forcing the closest alien soldiers to cover their eyes. He dashed forward, dodging blasts of energy. Weaving between debris and fallen robots, the aliens fired in confusion, their weapons unable to hit him from a distance. The alien commander observed quietly, his large eyes narrowing. He was massive, taller than any other alien, his presence commanding. He had fought thousands of humans before, yet none had moved like this one. None had fought without fear, without hesitation. His mind churned with interest. Could this fragile creature truly be special? The human leaped over a fallen mech, landing on his feet, and used his device to emit a shockwave, sending several aliens sprawling. He grabbed a metal rod from the ground, swinging it not to kill, but to disable. His movements were precise, almost artistic, every strike saving him and bringing down his enemies. The alien soldiers were confused, their usual tactics failing against this unarmed human. The commander tilted his head, studying the human. He noticed something strange, something that most humans lacked. The human had courage. Yes, but also intelligence, adaptability, and a calm mind even in extreme danger. He whispered to himself, fascinating, nearby. Other humans watched from hiding, hearts pounding. They could not believe what they saw. One human muttered, "He's going to die if the commander attacks." But the commander did not attack. He only watched, eyes fixed on the human. As if testing him, the human paused behind cover. Breathing heavily, his hands shook slightly. But his eyes never left the advancing aliens. He knew he was alone, yet he did not hesitate. He had a plan, a risky one, but it might just work. He pressed another button on his device, and suddenly holographic copies of himself appeared around the battlefield. Confusing the aliens fired recklessly at the illusions. Wasting energy and attention, the real human used the chaos to move closer to their lines. Disabling weapons with quick strikes, every movement was calculated. Every dodge precise, he seemed untouchable. Yet the tension in the air was thick. Every second could be his last. The commander stepped closer, the ground trembling slightly with his heavy steps. He was curious now. This human was unlike any other. His soldiers were faltering, distracted by one lone fighter. The commander's mind raced. Why does he fight without fear? Why does he stand alone? Could he be extraordinary? The human paused for a moment, noticing the commander's gaze for the first time. Their eyes met, and a strange understanding passed between them. The human did not know if the commander was friend or enemy. Yet something about that look made his heart skip, he felt. Noticed, respected even, by a creature that should have been his death. An alien warrior rushed at him from the side. Claws extended, ready to strike. The human rolled to the side, grabbed a fallen blaster, and fired a precise shot. Disabling the alien instantly, he could hear the commander's quiet breath of interest, as if approving the human's skill. The battlefield seemed to pause, the noise fading. leaving only the tense connection between human and alien. The human knew he could not last long, yet he smiled slightly. Adrenaline pumping, he was alive, and more importantly, he had made an impression on the most dangerous being in the field. The commander, towering above everyone, whispered something under his breath, almost inaudible. Interesting. Very interesting. The human raised his hand, ready to continue the fight, ready to survive against impossible odds. He did not know what the commander intended, but he felt a strange confidence, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, he was not entirely alone in this war. The sky above burned with smoke. The ground shook with explosions, yet for one moment, the battlefield held its breath, watching the human who fought alone and the commander, who had never paused for any human before, watched him with curiosity and a strange sense of anticipation. Asterisk, the battlefield had quieted slightly, smoke curling in the wind like ghostly fingers. The human crouched behind a pile of rubble, listening to the faint hum of alien energy weapons. He knew the commander was still watching, somewhere above the chaos, his enormous shadow stretching across the ground. Suddenly, a group of alien warriors charged. Faster this time, their weapons glowing hotter, sharper. The human rolled from cover, barely avoiding the first blast. His heart raced, yet his mind stayed clear. He spotted a broken turret nearby and kicked it toward the aliens. Sending them scattering, one alien lunged directly at him. Claws slashing through the air, the human grabbed a shard of metal from the ground. Deflecting the strike with a quick, sharp movement, sparks flew, and the alien stumbled back, surprised by the human's speed and timing. From above, the commander observed silently. His eyes narrowing, he was intrigued by this human's thinking under pressure. Most humans ran, screamed, or froze, but this one calculated, adapted, survived. The commander whispered softly, "Remarkable." The human darted forward, dodging energy blasts, and used his device to emit a low-frequency pulse, temporarily disabling the alien weapons. Confused, the aliens froze for a moment, giving him just enough time to strike and disable another. His movements were almost dancing, graceful but deadly, every step precise, every dodge intentional. Nearby, the human could hear faint whispers from his own team hiding in the wreckage. How is he still alive? How is he doing this? One asked, barely daring to breathe. The human didn't answer. He didn't need to. His focus was only on the approaching danger and the mysterious commander watching from above. Suddenly, a massive alien mech appeared, stomping across the rubble with weapons primed. The human froze for a heartbeat, calculating. Knowing he couldn't fight it head-on, then he remembered a small vent in the ground near the mech, and with a daring leap, he slid under it, avoiding the crushing footsteps. The mech's sensors searched for him, but he was already gone, moving like a shadow through debris. The commander's eyes widened slightly. Impressed, he had never seen a human move like this, adapt like this, fight like this. He stepped closer, his massive form casting a shadow over the battlefield, and whispered, "Perhaps he is different." More than I expected, a human emerged behind the mech, planting a small charge that erupted with a bright flash. Throwing the alien machine off balance, sparks and smoke filled the air, and the human used the chaos to vanish into the ruins. Unseen, the aliens scrambled, shouting orders, unsure where this fearless fighter had gone. Then, in a quiet moment, the human stopped, breathing heavily, and looked up, catching a glimpse of the commander standing atop a ridge, arms crossed, silent, observing. There was no anger, no attack, only a curious intensity, as if the alien was learning from him, calculating his potential for the first time. The human felt a strange feeling of connection, subtle but real. He did not understand why. Yet he sensed the commander was not simply an enemy. Perhaps there was more to this war than he realized. Perhaps his fight had just begun. He glanced around the battlefield, spotting his fellow humans hiding in fear, and a small smile crossed his face. He had survived against impossible odds. He had proven something not just to himself, but to the alien commander watching silently, waiting for the next move. And in that moment, the tension grew, thick and electric. The battlefield was no longer just about survival. It was about understanding, challenge, and destiny. The human had caught the attention of the most dangerous being on the field, and neither of them would ever be the same again. The wind shifted, carrying the faint sound of alien machinery and human whispers. The human clenched his fists, ready for the next wave, ready for the next encounter, knowing that the commander's eyes were always upon him, waiting, judging, and perhaps respecting. Asterisk. The battlefield had quieted, but the air was thick with tension. Smoke curled like dark fingers above the ruined terrain. The human crouched behind a broken wall, heart racing, muscles tight, ready for the next attack. He knew the aliens were regrouping, but he had no fear-only focus. Suddenly, a loud, mechanical roar echoed across the field, announcing the arrival of a new alien unit. Larger, faster, deadlier than anything he had seen. The human's eyes flicked to the shadows, calculating, scanning, searching for an advantage. Every step, every breath was deliberate. The alien commander appeared, descending from the ridge, his massive frame moving with surprising grace, his eyes locked on the human, observing every move, analyzing every decision. Unlike the other aliens, he did not shout or attack, he simply watched. As if waiting for something, the human noticed the gaze and froze for a heartbeat. His instincts screamed to run, to hide, yet he stood tall, unwavering. Something in the commander's stare was different, intense, curious, almost respectful. The human wondered if he could survive this encounter, or if this gaze meant death was near. The new alien unit advanced, weapons glowing ominously, its sensors scanning for movement. Ready to strike, the human sprang into action, using debris and rubble as cover, ducking under laser blasts, and striking with precision at weak points. Every move showed courage, intelligence, and skill. The aliens faltered, confused by his tactics. The commander's eyes narrowed, studying each action. Impressed by the human's ingenuity, he whispered under his breath, a sound barely carried by the wind. Exceptional, unlike any human I have seen. His voice was low, calm, almost approving, something no alien had ever felt for a human before. The human, unaware of the commander's words, continued to fight, yet felt a strange sense of being observed, not hunted. It was unsettling, but also gave him a strange confidence, like he was meant to be here, like someone or something was testing him. The alien unit lunged at him, claws extended, but the human anticipated the strike, dodging effortlessly, and sending the creature crashing into a pile of rubble. Sparks flew, metal bent, yet he emerged unscathed. He looked up, and for a fleeting moment, their eyes met again. The commander's gaze held curiosity, fascination, and something almost like admiration. He had never paused for a human, never considered one capable of this. The human, sensing something different in the alien's demeanor, paused, heart-hammering, wondering if he had misread the battlefield. Then, the commander signaled his soldiers to halt, a motion that stunned every alien on the field. They froze, unsure of why they had stopped. The human watched in confusion, ready to continue the fight, but the aliens remained frozen. As if an invisible hand held them back, the commander stepped closer, massive feet crushing debris beneath him, his shadow falling over the human like a dark curtain. Yet instead of striking, he simply studied him, whispering again. Curious, fearless, and clever, his words carried weight. And the human felt it deep in his chest. The wind shifted, carrying the sound of distant explosions and faint human whispers. The human realized that this encounter was no longer just about survival. It was about recognition, a strange bond forming without words, a respect earned through courage and skill. For the first time in the battle, the human did not feel entirely alone. He knew that the commander was watching, judging, perhaps even learning. Each decision, each strike, each moment of courage mattered, not just for him, but for the alien observing silently from above. And in that moment, a new tension gripped the battlefield. Not just the tension of war, but the tension of potential understanding, of a rare respect forming between two beings from entirely different worlds. The human raised his head, ready for the next attack. Heart steady, mind sharp, knowing that the commander's eyes were always on him. And the commander, for the first time, felt something unexpected, something he had never experienced before: a fascination with a human, a spark of respect, an acknowledgement that this one might be more than just another enemy. The battlefield roared again with distant chaos. Yet for the human and the commander, time seemed to pause. Suspense hung in the air, thick and electric. The human knew the fight was far from over, but he had earned something he could not yet name. A silent promise lingered in the wind, between the human who fought alone and the alien who watched with unexpected respect. The battlefield had settled into an uneasy silence, broken only by distant explosions and the groans of damaged machines. The human crouched behind a pile of rubble, breathing heavily, muscles tense, every sense alert. He had survived impossible odds. Yet he could feel that something monumental was about to happen. Above him, the alien commander descended slowly, his massive form moving with a calm authority that made the ground tremble. His eyes locked on the human, unwavering, like a predator studying prey, but not with malice. With interest, curiosity, respect, the human froze, unsure if this was the moment of death or revelation. The commander spoke, his voice low and almost melodic, yet carrying across the battlefield like a whisper of wind. "You are not like the others," he said. Barely audible, but the human caught every word. Heart pounding, the human stared, not fully understanding, but sensing that these words carried weight, purpose, and a strange promise. The human tightened his grip on a piece of debris, ready for an attack, but none came. The commander stepped closer, massive shadow falling over him. Yet instead of striking, he spoke again. "I have seen your courage, your cleverness, your will to survive against impossible odds." His voice was calm, deliberate, almost reverent. The human's mind raced, trying to comprehend the strange respect emanating from a creature that should have been his enemy. Why? Why are you not attacking? He thought, yet no words left his lips. Only his gaze locked with the commander's, filled with tension and anticipation. The commander paused, his eyes scanning the battlefield, then returning to the human. "You may be small, fragile, but your spirit, it is extraordinary." The human felt a shiver run down his spine, not from fear, but from a strange connection, a recognition that he had been noticed by someone or something far beyond ordinary. Suddenly, a squad of alien warriors moved toward the human, but with a simple gesture, the commander halted them. Their weapons lowering in obedience, the human blinked in surprise, unsure if he had imagined the gesture. Yet the soldiers remained frozen, awaiting the commander's command. "You will survive," the commander whispered again, this time closer, almost like a secret meant only for the human. "And when the time comes, your destiny will unfold." The human's heart skipped a beat, confused, curious, and unnervingly aware that this encounter was no longer about the battle alone. The human crouched low, feeling the weight of the commander's words, sensing that his life, and perhaps the fate of many others, had been tied to this moment. The battlefield around them seemed to fade. Explosions distant, chaos muted, leaving only the tense, electric connection between two beings from different worlds. The commander studied him a final time, eyes narrowing, assessing, calculating. "Do not waste your courage, human," he whispered, before stepping back, letting the human breathe, letting the war continue around them. Yet the promise of destiny lingered in the air, a spark waiting to ignite. The human lowered his grip on the debris, heart still racing, but a strange confidence filling him. He did not understand the commander's intentions fully, yet he sensed a future where this encounter would matter, a future where his actions could shape something far larger than the battlefield. The wind carried the faint echoes of alien machines and distant human voices, but the human remained still, eyes searching the sky, feeling the commander's presence even from afar. Something had changed, something unseen yet undeniable. The battlefield was no longer just a place of war, it was a proving ground, a place where fate had begun to weave its threads. And in that moment, the human understood, without words, that his journey was only beginning. The commander had whispered a secret, a promise, a destiny that would guide him through the battles yet to come. And though he could not yet see the path, he felt it, pulsing in his chest, waiting to unfold. The smoke drifted across the ruins, shadows dancing like ghosts. A human took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that somewhere above, the alien commander watched, silently observing, silently respecting, and silently waiting for the moment when their destinies would collide again. Asterisk. The battlefield trembled as distant explosions lit the sky. But the human no longer saw the chaos the same way. Something inside him had shifted, changed by the alien commander's strange words. He stood among ruins and smoke, breathing heavily, yet feeling a calm he did not understand. Across the field, alien soldiers regrouped, their glowing weapons rising again. They had orders to continue the battle. Yet they paused whenever their eyes drifted toward the commander, waiting for a signal that never came. The human noticed their hesitation, realizing the commander still held the field in his silent grip. For a moment, the human wondered if the commander would attack him now that their strange encounter had ended. But instead, the massive alien simply watched from afar, eyes glowing softly, like a teacher studying a student, or a warrior measuring another warrior's potential. The human tightened his fists, steadying his breath. He felt different now, stronger somehow, not in body, but in purpose. The commander's whisper echoed in his mind, "Your destiny will unfold." The words clung to him like a shadow he could not escape. More alien soldiers advanced, but slower now, cautious, their eyes flicking between the human and their leader, confused by the silence, uncertain of what this strange human meant to the commander. The tension was thick enough to feel, like pressure in the air before a storm. The human stepped into the open, unarmed yet fearless. His fellow humans watched from cover, eyes wide, unsure if he had lost his mind or discovered something new. One whispered, "Why is he going out there? He'll be killed." Another replied shakily, "Look at the commander. He's not giving the kill order." The alien soldiers surrounded the human slowly, weapons buzzing, but none dared to fire. They could feel the commander's gaze behind them. Heavy and commanding, the human lifted his hands slightly, not in surrender, but in readiness, showing he was not afraid. Then the commander raised his hand, a simple gesture that stopped every alien in their tracks. Even the wind seemed to pause. The field fell into a deep, unnatural silence. Only the low hum of alien engines whispering in the distance. With slow, deliberate steps, the commander approached, towering over the human like a living mountain. His armor glowed faintly in the smoke-filled light, his breath echoing through the air like a low rumble. The human didn't step back, didn't look away. His eyes met the commander's, steady and strong. The commander lowered his head slightly, a gesture no human had ever seen before, a gesture that felt like acknowledgement, or perhaps something even greater. "You fought alone," the commander whispered. "Yet you stood when all others ran." His voice was calm, deep, holding something that felt almost like respect. The human swallowed hard, unsure if he should speak. But his silence seemed to be enough. The commander continued, "Your courage defies reason. Your spirit burns brighter than your weakness." The human felt the words sink into him, heavy and powerful around them. Alien soldiers exchanged shocked glances, unable to understand why their leader spoke to a human in such a tone. His fellow humans watched in stunned silence, unsure if they were witnessing a miracle or the beginning of something more dangerous. The commander straightened, his deep voice rising just slightly. "This war may decide worlds," he murmured, "but your path, your destiny, it will shape something greater." The human felt a chill run down his spine, not from fear, but from the weight of a future he could not yet see. Then, in a moment that no soldier, human or alien, would ever forget, the commander turned his back to the human, signaling his troops to stand down, weapons lowered, engines powered down, and the field settled into a strange peace no one had expected. The human stood frozen, shocked, realizing the commander had spared him, not from mercy, but from belief. Belief in something he had not yet discovered about himself. His fellow humans gasped, emerging slowly from hiding. Unable to understand how he had survived, he looked up at the retreating alien force, at the commander leading them, and for the first time, he felt something new rising inside him, not fear, not confusion, purpose. As the aliens vanished into the smoky horizon, the human whispered under his breath, "This is only the beginning," and somewhere in the distance, the alien commander paused for a brief moment, as if he had heard the human's words, as if he agreed. The battlefield settled into silence, but a new path had opened, a path shaped by courage, respect, and a destiny whispered by an enemy who no longer felt like an enemy. A path that would unite or destroy worlds, a path that had only just begun.